I'm about to pull out of my driveway to go to settlement to purchase my first little piece of land in the state of Iowa. Well, specifically for hunting, not my primary residence. Just arrived at the bank. Gonna go in and settle on this property. Oh yeah. Woohoo! It's official. Papers are signed. Let's go look at the property and I'll show you my game plan for this year. Just past the doe on the side of the road. Oh well. I'm on my road. A couple miles left. I got a tractor and a truck in front of me. Looks like they might even be, they're either out cutting hay fields or putting in food plots. They just went around that way. Alright, the property that's on the back side of mine is this side over here. And the woods are fairly open. Like kind of wide open actually, which is good because my little piece is really thick, as you're about to see. So they could like use mine for bedding. And there's a no hunting sign there. All right, I'm coming up to my property here and I just stopped and introduced myself to the neighbor. There is a neighbor that butts up against mine on the east side. But here's my property here. So that currently overgrown pasture field right there, back to the woods over there. And then I own on this side over here. I think I'm gonna pull in right here. This is actually a deer trail that comes out right here and goes into my pasture field because somebody opened the fence right there, and which isn't a bad thing. I mean, the deer obviously are going to prefer to cross where it's easiest. But let's take a walk around the new McVeigh property. Let's see what happens here. Right back in there is where I'm going to probably put a hang-on stand. All right, so nice deer trail right here to cut the cross. Too much sunlight to probably see on video. There's a nice buck track, but it's probably not going to come out on video. Anyway, nice crossing right here. Here's the fence. You can see somebody peeled it open. Cut the barbed wire across the top, trying to encourage the deer movement here. I could tell. But so this is my property here. And these weeds are waist high right now. And right over there, I have a pond, or no, right here. Let's go check out the pond. And there's a deer bed right there. Looks like probably just a doe. And it definitely looks like the neighbor's property did not get planted this year. Last year it looked like, well, when I was here and looked at this property, it looked like the neighbors was soybean last year. But you could tell where my property ends and theirs begins is sort of grassy over there. So I'll go over and kind of see what they got going on over there. Definitely deer trails heading right over. Looks like a bed there, bed there. Bed there, spawn right there. It's probably a doe and, well, does and fawns probably aren't bedding together right now. Definitely two fawn beds. But the neighbor whose property butts up against mine right over there, he said that the deer bed down a lot right by my pond here. So probably gonna have to look at putting a food plot in back here. There is a lot of alfalfa in here. I don't know if you can see it with the way the video is, but there's lots of alfalfa in this field. I saw it when I was here looking at the place a couple months ago. Here's another farm bed. But it's really thick in here. Got mulberry growing all through here. Lots of it. So the deer will like that. I don't have many good trees for tree stands. They're kind of too thin. That's why I've got this ground blind with me. I'm gonna set this ground blind up. Trying to make my way over to the pond. It's just a tiny, tiny pond. Here's a deer bed right there, and the pond's right over here. Got cattails. Nice deer trail right along the edge of the pond here. I know there's frogs in this pond because they kind of jumped in when I was here looking at the place. I see little minnows out there. So there's at least minnows. Maybe something bigger. If you were to try fishing it, you couldn't cast too far because you'd be going right over top of it. There is a red oak tree here by the pond that I could put a hang on in, but I'm actually going to fight through this thick stuff. I got a draw back here. There's a spot that I picked out when I was here originally looking at the property. It just had some major deer highways come together. Oof, see if I can get through this stuff. It is thick in here, folks. That's good. I basically bought myself a big bedroom back here, and if I can put in a food plot out in the pasture part, I could be in good shape. Some doe tracks going to and from the pasture field, headed back into the draw where I want to go. I could potentially put a hang on in that tree there and clear this out a little bit. I mean, put in a little tiny mini clover type of food plot. There's a decent deer trail that comes down out from the upper section, that field over there, cuts through. And then there's a trail that I've been following that goes through this real thick stuff through the middle of this draw that I'm in. Let's just keep going. All right, my original thought from when I originally looked at this property back months ago, before it was all grown in, there's some real major deer trails that come up along this draw. Look how deep and eroded out it is right here. So it makes it hard for the deer to cross right here, but where I just was in that opening is where I just was a minute ago. There's an easy place for them to cross right there to get to. Over there, it's just so thick that, I mean, you can't even humanly walk through it. I know they're probably using that as a good bedding area. So right here is a hot spot. And so I was going to put the ground blind right over there, clear it out and just put it in there. But I could also put in a hang on here. It's just that here you're almost having to shoot straight down on them. But I did want to set up a camera somewhere in here. There's a nice super beat run that goes up into my thicket on that side of my property. My property ends kind of right over here, and the woods kind of open up over there. See how they're opened up over there? That's the neighbor's property, and then when you get over here in the mine, it's super duper thick. So they come up the trail from over there, and they either go this way or up along the back here. I brought this ground blind, but I just might not leave it today. Maybe what I'll do is I'll set my camera back here and see what kind of pictures I get and what direction they're moving. And then I can make a decision on which way to set this stand. So maybe that little tree right there, I'll put the camera on that. Alright, just came up, out of breath, from down in the draw. That last spot is down in there. And this is a good crossing point. The deer can come right from that point, right across the field here, down in. I always look for things like that. The closest points from major vegetation to major vegetation. And so here's a little tip for you as far as approach. If I'm going in right here, it means I'm going to have to walk past these deer trails. I don't want to walk on them. So at some point I need to walk past them. Either I cut down into the woods early and go over to the stand, or what I would prefer is actually come out. Now my property line comes right here. You can see the change in vegetation right here. I'd rather walk the edge here past these major deer trails and then cut back down in and come back to my stand. The reason I say that is the deer, when they get close to the edge of the woods, they get more cautious on a vegetation change. They're going to start sniffing harder. They're going to start paying closer attention because now they're entering a new area. They got to really pick up on, is there any danger here? So if my foot tracks are along the edge where they're being more cautious, they're more likely to pick up on it. However, if they're out here, kind of in this middle of this field, it's not the middle of the field, but out here in the field here, they're kind of milling around out here. They're not as cautious when it comes to predators out here. And so they might smell and pick up on it anyway, but there's a little bit less likelihood of it causing a problem because, you know, they're not on that alert pattern at that exact moment in time. Just throwing some thoughts out for you to consider as you set up on your hunting spots. There's another doe bed right there. I'll also say this as I head back over to the other side. When I talked to the neighbor, he said last year he saw a real big buck come out of my thick spot back there and go across the road up in the woods over there. He said it was real nice, so it's good to hear. Okay, now I'm going back in on the other side of my property here. I'm going to hang a camera back here by this fence, and I'll probably hang a stand here today and just leave it. I've been thinking about it. I brought an extra trail camera. I was going to head over to the public land near here after I finished and check out some stuff over there, but I think I'm just going to use that camera on my property at that other spot where there was that opening. I kind of want to see what kind of deer movements there. I'm at least going to walk back over and look at it one more time with the camera in my hand. But let's just see what this looks like over here. So that up there where it's cleared out is where they just did the logging. This is my property here, kind of thick on both sides. And at least when I was here last time, there was a good trail that runs along this fence row. And I was going to set the camera up right around in here. Okay, here's the trail. So the trail goes down. The fence is right there. Little wire fence. And they ran over it right here. Still up the rest of the way. So deer like to cross the fence where it's easiest. So this is also a high point. Makes this a real desirable spot for deer to come up and cross. So this oak tree is actually on my side of the fence. So I could put a stand right up there. Well, that's a little too close because this trail that runs along the fence, I don't want to shoot straight down on it. All right, I've been standing here assessing the situation. I'm thinking that oak tree right there, it's on my side of the fence line, so it's on my property. If I put a stand there, what I can do is, there's a dead tree here, and the loggers that came through my property to access theirs killed this tree. They hit it and mangled up the bottom there. So I can cut that down and drag all the dead trees over to the base of that tree and just really block the ground right through here. So what the deer will naturally do, they'll choose the path of least resistance. The major deer trail comes up here on that side, and rather than hug close to the fence line here, if all this is blocked up, they'll just naturally filter down through here and around, and that'll keep them out away from that tree far enough for me to get a broadside shot. I mean, it might only have them 10 to 15, well, probably 12 yards away, but that's fine. I'd rather have a 12-yard shot than like dealing with them walking straight underneath of me. But that tree looks like the safest and best tree. That stand is hidden there nicely. hanging a stand is always a workout. But as I was looking up there, so the main deer trail comes here, and it actually stays out kind of out in here. So I will have like a 10-yard shot. Hopefully my shot will come when the deer's out here. And I was thinking of making a mock scrape over here. Just clear this out. Then the scripture verses for this episode is the Gospel of John, chapter 2, verses 6 through 11. That's John 2, 6 through 11. And then my trail camera is right over here. Gotta go turn that on before I forget. That's a big buck bed right there. So I'm headed back over to hang my other camera that I have. I was going to put it on public land down here, but I'm not. So to give you perspective, my pond's right over there. The neighbor's house is there. The big buck bed I'm standing in now, right here. And back in my woods there is where the one camera is. I'm going to hang the other one where that kind of cross trail section comes together. Out of breath. Hot and humid. And I'm out of breath. Here's another good bed right here. There's probably 2 bucks. Either 2 bucks hanging out together, or, you know, there's a buck that likes to bed down right in here. So just to give you an idea from a topographic perspective why these beds are right here, it slopes off from the road right here where I'm standing just a little bit. So where I'm standing, you can't see me from the road because the property just slopes off. If you look at the house over there, the deer could stand up in here and never be seen by the people over at that house. And it just, the field begins to just slope off right here as well. So it's sloping off in 2 directions. So when the deer stands up, it has a chance of seeing just over the crest, but its whole body is protected by the ground because of the way it slopes off. So when you're thinking of deer and deer beds and stuff, these are some of the things to look for. And then you can see that the property drops off into a draw over there. So it's kind of a little bit of a high point right before it drops down in. And it looks like there's probably another bed right there. That's the neighbor's property though. I'm not going to walk over there. And here is a third bed right here. This is a good sized bed as well. It would be tough to hunt this. I mean, you could potentially set up a ground blind and just leave it up, but this isn't really my style of hunting. It's just good to know that deer could be bedded out here all day long and then get up and move in a direction. Deer could even come into the woods from the fields in especially early season when this is all still high. Once you get into the rut, when this all dies back and starts to kind of, you know, fall down, it doesn't provide as much cover. But it's looking good. I mean, I bought the property because it's the only thing I could afford. But it's got some sign. I mean, it's only 10 acres, so I'm not putting the bar too high. Like if a 130-inch buck comes by me, I'm going to shoot. The nice thing about Iowa is I can buy landowner tags just for this property. So I get an extra like buck tag just for my property. So I have my regular buck tags throughout the state. And then I have, here's a fawn bed, another fawn bed. Then I have tags for just this property, which is one of the reasons I did all this. Here's another doe bed right here. Another bed. Lots of doe and fawn beds kind of over in this direction. A lot of little fawn beds here. So yeah, this time of year, the summer, they will bed down out in this stuff, especially during the night. Like these beds, it's blazing hot during the day, so especially the buck, they'll probably be in the woods in a thick area. Here's another bed. It's probably fawn. Here's another bed. This is a better sized one. Lots of little beds in here. But during the day, this deer will get down in the shade a lot. Although the fawns will stay out here because they're so low to the ground and tiny. They'll still catch shade from the weeds even. And it's real thick. Well, I can only conclude maybe that I am not supposed to put a camera here at this spot because Brand new camera, brand new batteries, brand new, well, not a brand new card, but I had, card was empty. I just took it out of a different camera the other day and erased it. And then when I put it in this camera, I formatted it. And when I just turned it on right now, it said card full. So then I tried formatting it again and it just said card error. And I was getting mauled by mosquitoes. So I'm just tried messing with it a couple times, but I'm just done. Gonna head out. Well, folks, there you have it. I have finished my first day as an owner of a piece of ground here in Iowa. Woo! I'm gonna drive around the area a little bit and then head back home. I am very much looking forward to what happens here this year, and I hope you will stay tuned to find out. God bless you.